Hi everyone. This is part two of the the most important tools that you need to live uh, an abundant, good, comfortable life. And I was telling you about the most important was the brain and the different aspects that you got to do to take care of it. Well, here's the thing. Another reason that your brain is the most important tool you've got is that your brain is what makes everything in your body function. Everything. Your thinking, your imagination, um, your dreaming, your visions that you want for your life. It operates your arms and legs and your organs. It's connected to your heart. Uh, you couldn't walk if your brain didn't tell you to walk. You couldn't reach for something if your brain didn't tell you to reach for something. You, your whole body and who you are depends on your brain. So we got to learn how to operate that brain. And like I told you in the other video, we are told that people only use about 10% of their brain. And a lot of people don't even use that. First of all, they never learned how to read and write. They weren't, even though they were in school, and some of them were, some of them weren't. And everybody has taught well, but back in the day, they always say they needed their boys on the farm to do the work. That learning in school wasn't necessary. Education wasn't necessary. Education is very, very necessary. To you got to know how to read and write to get a job, and that right there is probably a lot of reasons why uh, people don't want to go even look for a job because they can't read and write, and they don't have the confidence that they need to do the job that they need to do. And or of course, naturally, a lot of these high paying jobs want a college graduate, and to be and they can't go to college because they didn't learn to read or write in elementary school, certainly didn't learn to read anymore in high school. uh there is so much that you need to know to get your brain to work the way it needs to work to get you into the kind of life you would like to have, a good, comfortable, abundant life. You got to know how to think logically. You got to know how to think intentionally. You got to know how to get rid of thoughts that shouldn't be there in the first place, how to combat that. And your brain does it all. Your brain handles your imagination. You wouldn't be able to imagine anything if your brain didn't have the compartment in there to do that. So when when you say and people tell you, well, you don't need an education, well, you do since they started societies. Now, if you're a caveman, no, you didn't, yeah, but you had to have some kind of knowledge, and your brain had to work to be able to figure out how to hunt down food, how to fight an animal that was attacking you, how to find shelter. So, if you could only realize how vital your brain is, we all would be taking better care of it. And I had posted a short sometime today. I can't remember when, but I noticing people that comment and on different social medias, not just my channel, but other people's channels too, that you can tell by their words and the way they comment and stuff that their education is limited. And if and they never learned how to put their words together properly, which words to use for this and that. Like a simple one, if you're going to say, they're going to go with us, instead of saying they are, that you say there, THEIR. And some people will use the THERE, which means over there. And people get those things, so, and/or you don't know what I'm going through, THROUGH, but they'll say THREW. So if you only knew how important education is. Now, for the most part, I know what people are talking about because oh God, I was bad in school, in grade school and high school. I was not good in English whatsoever. But I did make it to college, 4 years of college, and that's where I learned how to uh, 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 do sentences, form sentences, learn how to oh, be able to figure out what it's saying, how to separate this from that, and where to put the commas, and I still need to learn to do some more. In fact, I was thinking about this the other day, that when I hear even people that are more educated than me talking and stuff and different words they're using, or you're like reading a paper that has all these big words in it, and they know exactly what it means. And a lot of times most of the time, if I really want to know, I'll look it up and see what it means. So I still need educated more. If I want to get myself up around people that can teach me how to be wealthy and rich and even have a career, I would need to learn more English and more ways of speaking uh, and all that. So our brain is very vital. It is the most important tool that this body has for us to live and survive. But I want to do more than survive. And my daughter goes through some really tedious times with her clients, helping them get homes and stuff. They just can't think. They can't think for themselves. They can't do for themselves. That's why they've got a case manager. And it's not that, now some of them have mental issues, but all of them don't. But could you say they have mental issues if they're not educated and they're in society and society expects them to take care of themselves? So, and I told you the other day, yesterday, get up every morning and read at least 20 minutes every day. Get out a dictionary and start learning new words every day. Because that's it. And I kind of thought maybe I figured out some of these guys that go, and especially there's a lot of really smart men out there that know how to read and write, and they're very intelligent. But for the most part, there's guys out there because they were pushed aside in school. Ah, you're just a guy. You can get a labor job. You can this. You can that. You don't need to read and write and whatever. But when they're being hounded to go out and get jobs, and when they go out, and have you ever seen some of them fill out an application? Now some of them are got some really beautiful handwriting, and they can spell, and they can just figure out that application just like that. And I know a lot of people say, well, they do it online now and you type it in. Well, a lot of them don't. And of course, and if they do it online and they're going in for a certain job, that you got to know how to spell and write and all that kind of stuff. And they hire you and you get in there, you can't do the job. So I think what a lot of time what happens when they've got a pile of applications and they're going through it, and they look at the handwriting. Now these are people that are needing people that they can trust to do the job, so that takes the load off of them, so that they can read and write and read the warning signs and all that. So when they see that application that the guy is just chicken scratch and words not spelled right and stuff, that's a deterrent for the employer to hire. So again, I say, education is everything, and I mean, you got AI now, and you got Google that you can type in and find out things and stuff like that. But that's not going to help you in a pinch if you don't have a phone, if you don't know how to write, if you don't know how to cursive. But here's the thing. You can speak now into the for them to find what you're looking for, but a lot of times that don't work good either because it don't pick up your voice properly. So I know that y'all and whoever one that would want to come back at me and say, well, we have this, we have that. We don't have to know how to do all that stuff that you're saying. I've been in stores before, and the cash register, everything went down. The electric went down, and they were all in there, and that's when they accepted cash and stuff. They didn't have the cards to pay for. Well, they did some, but if you were in there and they would have to sit and do it all by hand. I was one girl in there in the store one day didn't know how to give me back change, and I had to do it for her. I'm not down in anybody. It's just that people have been reserved and not told and not taught that the brain is the most important thing that they need. People think that it's their overall body functioning that they need more than anything, their eyesight and their abilities to move around and get here and get there and stuff. None of that would work if your brain wasn't working properly. You wouldn't be able to think and analyze and test the spirits and stuff like that. Yeah, everything, your brain is hooked to everything. And so I'm saying that take care of your brain, feed it, nourish it, help it grow by letting it read. Don't let it go all goofy and crazy on you, because your ego's in there too. And sometimes the brain wants to do what it wants to do. But you got to rein it in, just like you do a horse, or when you're steering a boat. You got to steer that rudder the way you want your boat to go. Well, you got to do that with your brain too, or your brain will just automatically do what it wants to do, and take you. It and your heart will just take you whatever's in there, and off you'll go. So the you need to nourish it. You need to hydrate it. You need to read. You need to practice silence and think intentionally. Don't grab any thought that comes out there, because those thoughts are from your past, are from what you've been programmed with for years. You've got to reprogram your brain. It's a computer. And since the day you were born, it was being programmed with what other people around you were putting into it. And then later, as an adult, whatever you allowed in there. So your brain can do wondrous things. Your brain can sit down, and let's say you're stranded out in the desert somewhere, or you need your car's broke, or you need to jimmy rig it or something like that, and you've only got a certain amount of tools. Well, you got to get your brain to work. Of course, the only way you can do that, if the brain has enough knowledge in it to know how to calculate and figure out how to make what you got work to get your car up and running again, or whatever the case may be. Sit down and figure out, how am I going to pay my rent? My rent is $1,000, and I've only got $1,300, and I got all these bills to pay. Well, see, with a sound mind, with a well-nourished mind, with a well-educated mind, you're able to sit down and work that all out. And I do that every month. Now, wasn't always like that. I had to put some knowledge into my brain. I had to reprogram my brain from what I got all my life, that people and surroundings and my environment programmed my brain with. Now, it did the natural things, like, okay, my arms and legs and stuff are moving, but it didn't when I hurt my back, because it severed the nerves from my brain in the mid part of my back, in my spinal cord, and it severed that right where it would tell my legs to walk. So naturally, they had to fix that. So your brain operates your body, everything about you, your speech, your thinking, everything, your frontal lobe, I don't know all the names of what's in there, but I do know that your brain operates your whole body. So that is your most important asset, no matter where you're at. So your brain, your mind, your imagination, your ability to speak, to think, to imagine is all up here. And your brain then and your heart work together, because your heart has got your emotions in there, your emotional feelings, not your touchy feelings, but your emotional feelings is in your heart. And them two have got to work together. So you got to take care of your heart, you got to take care of your brain. So the next most important tool that you have in life is your heart. Because your emotions can send you in a tailspin, and you won't be able to think straight, because then all these emotions are, because your heart's doing that. Use your heart as, okay, loving someone, or you can hate someone, and it all comes from your emotions that are stirring up in your heart. And it all comes from what you were programmed with as you were growing up. So in that heart and in those emotions, there's empathy, compassion, love, concern, feelings for other people, and you need that. Your intuition is in there. You need that to steer you to steer you away from different situations, or steer you to certain situations, uh, and to have the empathy and the compassion uh, to get you to be a kind, loving person, but be a tough person too. You got to be tough to live in this world anymore, but you got to be able to do it lovingly and logically and intentionally. So, like I said, you're you're you got two main things, tools now, but they work simultaneously together, and that's your brain and your heart. Your heart pumps your blood through your brain, through your whole body, because your brain needs oxygen, and the blood carries the oxygen up into your brain, and your brain sends uh, electrical transmissions to your heart about how to feel about this and how to feel about that and different things. So, but then again, it comes your mindset. Because if you grew up with a mindset that you hate this or that or whatever, or you would never live in the country kind of thing, that's all programming, and it takes it down to your heart, and you can say, your heart will say, I hate that. So it all works together. And then, of course, in all of that, all the electrical frequencies is coming off your brain and coming off of your heart, tells your body how to feel. And of course, it can hurt even if you didn't fall or anything like that, depending on what's going on up in there. But if you hurt your body, then that signal, then the pain, where the pain wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the brain. Now the brain is trying to protect you because you hurt a nerve in there, and it went up to your brain and telling your brain that there's something wrong with part of your body. Now I don't know all the ins and outs about it. All I know is that your brain is the most important, your heart is the next most important, and they work together simultaneously. So you got to take care of them. Keep your heart merry. A merry heart doeth good like medicine. If you can keep your brain knowing that all is well, and it'll send the signals to your body that all is well. It'll send to your heart that all is well. And and this is just my way of expressing what I know. I did some research on it, and I've listened to other doctors and stuff explain some of this stuff, not all of it. I know enough about it to know how I need to be running my life. And a lot of times, I mean a lot of times, I forget. I forget that I should be doing this. And I let my brain stray into negativity, and I let all the stuff that's going around me that I don't like put me in a state that it makes me ill, makes my brain ill, and my brain then tells me my body is ill. But you don't pay attention to it. So, as a man thinks in his heart, as he believes in his heart, Proverbs 23:7 or 7:23. I'm pretty sure it's 23:7, but you can look that up. As a man believes, as a man thinks in his heart, that's the way he'll go. However, your heart is programmed by your brain, that's the way you'll go. And if you believe you can or if you believe you can't, you're right. Again, your brain. Your brain will tell you what you believe and what you don't believe. And it'll go into your heart and your heart. So whatever your heart believes, that's the way you'll go. Well, I love you all. You have a great day, and I hope you enjoy this. I hope enough people see and understand what it is that I'm trying to get across to people. And you have a great day. Love you all.